You know what's absolutely insane? Every time you use words like democracy, philosophy, theology, psychology, or basically any word ending in ology, you're speaking Greek. The entire intellectual framework of Western civilization, how we think about thinking, comes from one of Japheth's sons named Javan. And here's the kicker. Javan is literally the Hebrew word for Greece. The Bible's been telling us for 3,000 years that Greek thought would shape the world, and boy did it ever. Genesis 10:2-4. In the Berean Standard Bible says, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, the Kittites, and the Rodanites. Every time the Old Testament mentions Greece, it uses Javan. Daniel's prophecies about Alexander the Great, that's Javan conquering the world. Ezekiel's references to Greek traders, Javan. The Bible saw Greece coming long before Greece saw itself coming. Let's talk about what actually happened when Greek thought exploded onto the world stage. These people were obsessed, and I mean obsessed, with understanding everything. They examined some concept of proving things logically instead of just accepting them. Geometry? That's Greek for earth measurement. They didn't just build things, they examined out why things worked. Pythagoras wasn't satisfied knowing triangles worked. He had to prove why a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But here's where it connects to your faith. Greek philosophy was basically preparing humanity's brain for the gospel. Plato talked about perfect forms existing beyond physical reality. Sounds a lot like storing treasures in heaven, doesn't it? Aristotle developed logic that Thomas Aquinas would later use to explain the Trinity. The Stoics talked about the Logos, the divine rational principle governing the universe. Then John 1:1 shows up and says, "In the beginning was the Logos, and the Logos was with God, and the Logos was God." Boom. Greek concept, divine revelation. When Alexander the Great conquered everything from Egypt to India, he didn't just bring armies, he brought Greek language and thought. Suddenly, everyone needed to speak Greek to do business, politics, or education. It became the English of the ancient world. So when God inspired the New Testament 300 years later, what language did he choose? Greek. Not Hebrew, the language of the prophets. Not Aramaic, the language Jesus spoke. Greek, the language everyone could understand. The precision of Greek is insane. Hebrew is beautiful and poetic. It paints pictures with words. Greek is surgical. It dissects ideas with precision. Hebrew has one main word for love. Greek has four. Agape, unconditional love. Phileo, friendship love. Storge, family love. And eros, romantic love. When Jesus asks Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 times in John 21, he's using different Greek words that English completely misses. The conversation is way deeper than our translations show. Here's something that'll blow your mind. The Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, was completed in Alexandria around 250 BC. Jewish scholars translated their own scriptures into Greek, because even Jews in Egypt spoke more Greek than Hebrew. This translation introduced monotheism to the Greek-speaking world. When the apostles quote the Old Testament, they're usually quoting the Greek version. Javan's language became the vehicle for spreading Shem's revelation. But Greeks needed the gospel desperately. For all their wisdom, they had 30,000 gods and couldn't agree on basic morality. Socrates, their wisest man, was executed for asking too many questions. Plato's Republic advocates for some seriously messed up stuff like communal wives and selective breeding. Aristotle, the genius who invented formal logic, thought some people were natural slaves. Greek wisdom, without divine revelation, led to sophisticated stupidity. When Christianity hit Greek culture, it exploded like Mentos and Coke. Greeks were intellectually prepared, but spiritually starving. They had been asking the right questions for centuries. The gospel provided the answers. Greek converts didn't just accept Christianity. They thought about it deeply. They asked questions like, how can God be three in one? And how can Jesus be fully God and fully man? These weren't doubts. They were attempts to understand divine mystery with human logic. The early church councils that defined Christian doctrine, conducted in Greek. The Nicene Creed, written in Greek. The terms we use, Trinity, hypostasis, homoousios, theosis, all Greek. When Eastern and Western Christianity split, it was partly over a single Greek letter, iota, in a theological term. That's how precisely Greek allowed theology to be discussed. Modern Greeks still speak a language close enough to ancient Greek that educated Greeks can read the New Testament in the original. Think about that. They can read Paul's actual words, not a translation. Greek Orthodox Christianity preserves liturgies that might go back to the apostles when they chant the Kyrie eleison, Lord, have mercy. They're praying in the language of the New Testament. So what's your takeaway? First, God prepares cultures for his purposes. Greek obsession with wisdom wasn't random. It was preparation for receiving ultimate wisdom. Second, intellectual pursuits aren't opposed to faith. They're tools for understanding faith deeper. Third, the gospel transforms human wisdom. Greek philosophy asked the questions. Christ provided the answer. Stop separating secular education from spiritual growth. Every field of study, science, philosophy, mathematics, logic, can deepen your understanding of God when approached correctly. The Greeks proved you can think deeply and believe deeply. In fact, thinking deeply should lead to believing deeply. And remember, God chose Greek to communicate his New Testament. He values clear thinking and precise communication. Your brain is not the enemy of your faith. It's a tool for understanding your faith. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.